Good.
Excellent. Well, Patrick, Saturday edition of Missing Millions. Here we are live on Facebook, live on Instagram. Kind of got this double camera thing going, which is kind of cool. So hello to everyone who's watching live. We actually have it. We have a big topic today, Patrick, around the Great Canadian Migration. Now, but what the hell does that mean? Let's start there before we sort of unpack it. So you go first. What does it mean?
Well, it's not hard to see all the research that's happening, and all we have to do is observe what's happening in the housing market today and what are we seeing happening. People aren't working, at an office. They're working from home, and there's been this significant trend, migration from, urban areas into suburban and even rural areas. And it is, to me, reminded me of the Great Canadian Migration because it's happening everywhere. I mean, it's being talked a lot about in Toronto, and it's being talked a lot about in Vancouver and Montreal, but ultimately it's happening right across the country. Now, is it a Great Canadian Migration? I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to look. People creating a new environment for themselves given the conditions that have changed. And I want to talk about a lot of things in that regard. But, is it a Great Canadian Migration? I kind of like the thought process.
Well, listen, here's what's interesting, right, Patrick? We talked about this a lot, especially at the beginning of COVID, but now, and we kind of haven't talked about it much since, but what COVID-19 has done, folks, so everyone who's listening, is it's an accelerator. A lot of trends that were taking place and that we're going to take 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years to execute, they're being compressed now. Those trends are now happening in matters of months. And the Great Canadian Migration, is one of those trends, in my opinion, that we were moving towards more people going to the outside. Patrick, we talked about ex-burbs 2 years ago. We've been talking about this. We've seen this coming. What's happened, though, is COVID has compressed this timeline now because of what it's done, the shutdown, people reevaluating their very existence, their thoughts, that has a major impact, and the Great Canadian Migration is a part of that.
Well, it lends to the whole thought process of people are looking to say, how am I going to set myself up for a lifestyle and create an environment where I can succeed? I'm working from home more. I need my office space, my significant other, my kids. Oh my gosh, and whatever it might be, but a condo, townhouse, that kind of environment is not as conducive to working from home. We need space. We need to get out. A very, strong threat of a second lockdown in some provinces, and who knows where that will go. But based on that,
strong threat, we're in it here in Ontario.
Yeah, we are. To what degree becomes the question.
Yeah.
And we know that this whole concept of the pandemic and COVID and the shift of conditions, I think for those who may be waiting to go back to normal, whatever normal was, 7 months ago, don't be holding your breath on that one, because you're going to pass out and fall over. The reality of it is this is a new environment. This is a new way of living and a new way of being, and people must get out of, or not must, but are really looking and saying, I need to get out of this small condo and in high density downtown Toronto or Vancouver and set myself up. I've got health risks, or I've got fear of those health risks, whatever it might be. So those are the changes that they're making. So it is the Great Canadian Migration. That's how I've contextualized it for me, and I got a vision of that in my mind, as a matter of fact.
Well, what's amazing about this, Patrick, is this doesn't, even though it feels like it's happened overnight, these kinds of things don't happen overnight, and it's not yet a firm trend, but it has been going in this direction for some time. COVID has compressed it, has accelerated it, and we expect it to continue to go. Now, this, as real estate investors, this has impacts. We talked about this week at the RAIN member meeting how 500 square foot units or less, which kind of sounds crazy to me, but I guess they're out there. The rents of those units are going down. They're getting less today than they were a month ago, 6 months ago. The rents are going down. But if you have 3-bedroom units, 4-bedroom units, 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet, those rents are going up at double-digit rates. That's all part of the Great Canadian Migration. That's all an effect of it.
Well, let's dial it down even a little. Let's go down to a few other layers, right? First and foremost, we have to stress it is regional. it is property style. So in other words, you know, to your point, a micro unit type condo is not really all that exciting to people anymore. They want they want more space. That's bottom line on that. And then that causes a couple different issues. You know, rents are coming down for investors, which then challenges, you know, cash flow, which when some of the bigger centers were challenged anyways, Toronto and Vancouver are the, you know, primary examples of that. But then the other part of that, JG, that we can't, you know, that we can't step over in that regard is that there's a lot of, you know, a lot of consideration we have to give to investors who have bought pre-built condos that aren't going to be up in another year or two. You know, are those values going to be where they were sold at? And then financing issues, you know, start to happen, and people need to get out because they need the money. So it does get a little bit convoluted. It has, no, I shouldn't say it does. There's a possibility, and that's why investors need to look at the research. They need to stay on top of what's happening economically, JJ.
And Patrick, I'm already getting messages, comments, and private messages, people saying, well, where's the market at right now? Folks, for those, a lot of people are starting to ask this question. Where are we at? Are we in a boom? Are we in recovery? Are we in a downturn? Where are we with the real estate market? What is the current state of the market? And folks, we will be releasing that information at our upcoming Real Estate Investment Network Summits, November 13 and 14. We have economists coming. We're going to be releasing our research. Patrick, we've been working on this research for a while. And the fact is that up until this moment, the numbers were not even accurate enough or even out there enough for us to be able to do the research, but now we have it and we're releasing it November 13th and 14th for those that are attending our summit, Patrick.
Yeah, there's a couple of considerations in that. You know, that data has been really slow. You know, I won't get into the politics of things, but I think that we need to consider that the data is coming out it's been dragging. It's hard to get data. And then my observation is that mainstream media on its own, like always, you know, headlines are convoluted. You know, there's kind of smoke and mirrors and things that take you off on rabbit holes. The data can't fully be trusted. And that's what we're seeing. And that's why we have a research team that does what they do in behind the scenes to make sure the data that we're working with makes sense.
You know, Patrick, I did a video the other day about layers, and I want to talk about layers again because you said it just a while ago. I think it's such a critical component of real estate today. More than ever before, there are layers of complexity to this market that the average beginner, amateur investor just doesn't understand. And they're simply, quite frankly, not considering all the layers. And this is where the opportunities to get hurt exist when you don't consider all the layers. And that is asset type, regionality, locality. You know, you talk about property type, how many bedrooms, all of that stuff has an impact, and it's all very different. Every city, every municipality has its own layers that they're now dealing with and talk about COVID-19 coronavirus as we re-enter parts of the country are going back into slowdown, lockdown, not lockdown. I personally don't believe there's going to be a full force shutdown, lockdown like there was. I don't see that happening, but you are seeing parts of the economy getting compressed again. The point is all of those layers have to be considered in order to not get hurt in this real estate market. It is not time to make a mistake, folks.
It isn't. And it's, you know, but what, you know, you look at what's happening in Ontario, there's lots of FOMO, lots of fear of missing out because the market's so hot and prices have increased 17% and I've got to move. And, you know, there's a fundamental, you know, saying that I've used many, many times, and that is that real estate doesn't fail us, we fail real estate. And the reason we do that and the way we do that is we get reactive and we get into the emotions of what's happening in real estate, and we need to pull out of that emotion and set ourselves up to win. I mean, many people that are maybe moving out of the urban, you know, the downtown cores, for example, they may be being very reactive and are not planning, not creating that environment. You know, I often use the, you know, metaphor analogies of, you know, different things. You know, swimming lessons, you can learn how to swim on YouTube, but you don't really learn how to swim until you get in the water, right? And environment and setting yourself for environment or setting yourself into an environment to set yourself up for success is really the key. You know, we talk about RAIN in terms of the education, in terms of the community, in terms of the community, in terms of the culture. You know, I've used the example, which is just really in my face right now because I've said, often we see people that will buy a pet, for example, a dog, and they're really reactive and they don't create an environment to have a great relationship with their dog. And then they don't like the dog, or the dog turns out to be a bad dog. And, and I'm in the middle of it because, Stephanie and I are I've just recently acquired a dog, and it's a big breed. And, and ultimately we've been spending time planning and creating the environment for that particular pet to win. And it's like that with real estate. I know it's kind of a stretch maybe in comparison, but we have to set ourselves up in real estate, in business. We have to create that environment, community, culture, like-minded individuals, JG,
Well,
to really succeed and not be reactive, not get into the FOMO, not buy into the headlines.
You asked a question earlier this week to me, and you said, what's been one of the biggest wins through COVID? And my answer was not doing anything. And what I meant by that was really controlling my exit my entrance into the market, looking to buy stuff. I haven't bought any real estate for a couple months now. I've been very quiet in the background, accumulating, making moves, getting ready, preparing. But and listen, that's been challenging. Like for a guy like me who's got like I'm like a shark. Like I'm meant to swim, baby. So it's been tough not to do that, and I'm proud of the fact that I haven't done it. I'm proud of our team for having the discipline to stand by, wait and watch, and prepare for the opportunities to come. But they're starting to show up, Patrick. This week I've been negotiating on 13 different units that have come to me through various things now. So it's like the opportunities are starting to show up, and we can talk about why that is. The point is not doing anything sometimes is the best thing you can do.
But and you make such a great point, JG, because ultimately what you've done is as investors, I think we have to mature to a point where we're not making emotional decisions. And you can get fired up about it. You can get, I want to do this because, that's personality type and all the things that you want to get deals done. But ultimately, when you start stepping back and not make emotional decisions, make decisions based on the research, it just becomes about the math. What am I going to do to get the best return? What is my risk mitigation? What's my exit strategy? So these are plans, and then you get to execute against the plan as opposed to making a emotional decision and executing against firefighting, because it was, not a smart decision.
One of the segments that we have coming up at the summit, November 13th and 14th. And folks, if you're not registered, you've got to register before the price goes up. So go to raincanada.com, get your ticket for the upcoming summit. It is the place to be. If you want to know what's happening with real estate across this country, it is the place to be. There's nowhere else to be on November 13th, 14th. It's going to be a packed house. It's a virtual event. You can watch it and enjoy it from the comfort of your pajamas anywhere you want. But Patrick, first of all, we got two international world-renowned economists that are joining us on stage, which is going to be awesome. But probably the segment I'm most excited about is we have a segment called Unfiltered. And we are going to be deep diving with these economists, with yourself, with myself, with Jennifer Hunt, where we're going to be unfiltered about our thoughts on the economy. This is not a filtered, here's what the banks thinks are going to happen. Here's what the Bank of Canada thinks is going to happen. This is a perspective from people that are in it day in and day out, transacting millions and millions and millions of dollars of real estate. I'm very excited about that segment called Unfiltered.
Yeah, and I think let's put it this way, you're in business, I'm in business, Jennifer's in business. We're making decisions based on what we believe is happening with the economy. We're not sitting idly back. We're having to pivot. We're going through the same grind as many are. We're having to make some very, very difficult decisions for our businesses and for our real estate. But we're doing it based on what we believe is going to happen in, given what's going on economically, and we're going to share that. And I'm really excited about it. But there's another segment that I'm excited about because I had a very, very great conversation with the principal, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but we started talking about the future of real estate, 3 years ago? Well, listen, the future of real estate has definitely arrived, and it's an exciting kind of view of how easy it is to now get into the game of real estate and play it. It's a different strategy, different tactic, but it's so straightforward. And there's many, many opportunities there.
So Patrick, you're saying that, well, I'm not, let me not, actually, I'm going to not say what I was going to say because I think I'm going to give away too much. But I will say this, though, and I want to ask this question, which is, like at Rain, how long have we been talking about the future of real estate? We've been talking about this since I've been on the stage in 2018, but this has been 2-3 years of us. We were quite frankly 3 years too early. People thought we were crazy, dude. People thought we were nuts. They thought this will never happen to real estate. Here it is happening today.
It's happening.
It's unreal. So that's going to be released at the upcoming summit as well, folks, which is really, really cool stuff. So, we're making these, this year's summit, and we only the last time we hosted a summit was in May. So we only host a couple of these a year. But you have to be there if you're at all serious about real estate. I mean, shit, even if you're a homeowner and you want to have a good sense of where the market's going, you need to be there. Yeah. Because we not only release the data and the facts about what's happening with the economy, we tell you where the markets are in their market cycle, but then we have these incredible announcements that we literally show you where the market is going 3 years before it even gets there. And talk about preparing, Patrick. If you know where the market's going in 3 years and you start to prepare today, how can you fail?
You can't. And something is, we can deny that technology is, doing what technology is doing, and then find ourselves way behind trying to catch technology, and you'll never catch technology. There's no way to stay ahead of technology because we just don't know. But that's one part of it. So the future of real estate really has arrived. I think that you made an interesting point here too, is that given what's happening in the virtual world and who the real estate investment network is on a national basis, and even now getting global and certainly North America quite comfortably now, the thing that we have to consider is that homeowners need education. If you want to have confidence in buying your first piece of real estate or your next piece of real estate for your home, for your family, education is key in making confident decisions.
Well, Patrick, listen, let's be straight about this, okay? There's plenty, there are many, many, many people who teach about real estate investing, and they say homeowners are not investors. Your home is not an investment. Folks, my belief, Patrick's belief, our belief, that is bullshit. It is your largest investment. It is an investment, and you should be extra cautious about what you do with that asset, probably more than any other asset. And you need this information, even if you're a homeowner, even if you never want to play the real estate investment game and you don't want to be Patrick Francie with, all this real estate, you still need to know this stuff. It's critical, Patrick.
It is. And, when it makes up such a large part of, Canadians' net worth, the right decisions can make you thousands of dollars, or it can cost you thousands of dollars. And even more, tens of thousands, certainly. And so these are the things that, Rain and, the team are bringing to the forefront in the housing industry. It drives Canada's economy in so many ways. And education is key. Support is key. Having solutions and the answers to those sometimes what seem like difficult questions are critical to success in that regard.
100%. So I think we'll probably start to wind it down, Patrick. I'm running out of coffee here. So, but I do want to also mention, I was looking at the agenda, which folks, if you go to raincanada.com, scroll to the events calendar or go to the bottom of the page, you'll see a banner there for our upcoming summit. Check out the agenda, because not only is there 12 different breakouts you get to choose from, not only is there several networking sessions, not only is there a lunch with a power team, so you literally get to work with a power team. There's a happy hour, a virtual happy hour, my personal favorite.
Those are fun for sure.
And so lots of networking. I mean, Patrick's going to be people there from across the country. So it's a really interactive, fully immersive experience where you get to build your network, build your knowledge, have an education and experience that's like none other before, and have a current state of the economy and a current state of the market as it relates to real estate. There's nowhere else you need to be, and it is the event of 2020.
It is going to be absolutely amazing, and we're going to find out, is it the Great Canadian Migration? I don't know. I think maybe.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Patrick, for doing this, and looking forward to seeing you all at the upcoming Real Estate Investment Network Summit. Get registered before it's too late. Thanks again, Patrick.
Beautiful. Thanks, you too.